So now we're moving ahead to the next steps, which involve hiring the searchers. We've done sort of our preliminary test search already.
Tonight, an update on the search for 2 women in a Winnipeg landfill. Plus, Cambria Harris will soon be Manitoba's Indigenous Reconciliation Secretariat.
My favorite part of it is definitely looking around for new stuff to add to my costume.
And superfans assemble for this year's Winnipeg Comic-Con. Tanse, good evening. I'm Chris Nachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us this Monday evening. The family of a woman killed by a serial killer in 2022 are one step closer to hopefully being able to get their daughter's remains excavated from a Winnipeg landfill. With the latest, here's APTN's TR Wheatley.
Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew told a room full of reporters the Brady Road landfill search for Ashley Shingus is expected to start in December, saying the process will resemble a search that was done this past year for 2 other women who were also killed by the same serial killer as Ashley. The Shingus family welcomed the Premier to their home in the St. Teresa Anishinaabe Nation for a sweat lodge ceremony earlier this month. Albert and Teresa wanted to start the physical search of the Brady landfill for their daughter Ashley off in a good way. Kinew says he was grateful for the moving ceremony.
So now we're moving ahead to the next steps, which involve hiring the searchers. We've done sort of our preliminary test search already. This is very much the same process we used at Prairie Green Landfill, and now we're just doing it at Brady. And because we're there, the City of Winnipeg has been great. Winnipeg Police Service have been great about collaborating with us.
In 2022, Rebecca Contois, Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, and Ashley Shingus were brutally murdered. Their serial killer is serving a concurrent life sentence for first-degree murder ×4. Harris and Myron's remains ended up at a privately owned Prairie Green landfill. Last December, the province began searching, and after only 3 months, some remains from both were found. Shingus was killed a couple months before the others, and her remains ended up at Brady Road. She went unidentified for 3 years. Even during the trial, she was only known as Buffalo Woman. It was months after the killer went to prison that police went back to interview him, which gave the police more evidence to identify Shingus. Kinew says with the work at Prairie Green now completed, they have begun moving equipment to Brady Landfill.
We've been doing the decommissioning activities, so it might look like there's activities on site, but it's not related to the search per se. It's because we had buildings there that were moving to Brady, trailers that were being moved to other locations, things like that.
This mobile home was placed near Prairie Green for a safe space for the Harris and Myron families to go to during the search. It may move to Brady Road, but it may also serve another purpose. Melissa Robinson is Harris's cousin.
We wanted to ensure that it was going to be fair, and we liked the idea of giving it to an organization maybe that could use it for our unsheltered women, our women at risk.
She now works with the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, helping other families in need. And just last week, Harris's daughter, Cambria Harris, began working for the province.
Cambria's a rock star.
She is currently the special assistant to the finance minister with a focus on reconciliation.
She showed poise, intelligence, moral courage, and I just think this is a great Manitoban that we have, and hopefully over her time working with us in government, we'll be able to build her up for the next stage of her career and the next stage of contributions to public life in Canada.
The fact that political spaces are hiring people with lived experiences is a good thing, says Robinson.
And looking at doing these types of roles, you need to have people that are impacted. People, sadly, that know that hurt, that know that loss.
The Brady Road landfill search for Ashley is also expected to include searching for Tanya Nepanak. She went missing in 2011. A different killer was charged in 2012 for her disappearance and murder, but those charges were stayed. Back then, Winnipeg police only searched for a week and were not successful. As of right now, though, the province isn't saying much about what the search for Tanya will look like. TR Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
193. That's how many days it's been since Adyson King's grandmother started keeping a journal about how it feels to keep her granddaughter's memory alive. APTN video journalist Rachel May sat down with Adyson's grandmother, who spoke about the time that's passed since her granddaughter was killed and the ongoing search for justice.
I want the awareness out there. You know, if it can help somebody, can help save somebody, if it can help other families that are grieving, that's what it's there for.
Gwen King, Adyson's grandmother, says she loved to bake, listened to music, and had many friends. August 27th, 2025 marks what would have been Adyson's 19th birthday.
It's important that we honor Adyson as much as we can. And every day I do that because I think that awareness needs to be brought forward, even if it's sometimes triggering.
On April 14th, 2025, Adyson said see you later to her grandparents before leaving her house in Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, and heading to an outdoor party on the Flying Dust First Nation next door. Around 2 a.m., she left the party. That was the last time she was seen alive. Her body was found 2 days later near a river near the Flying Dust First Nation. Gwen says she began counting the days since Adyson's body was found as a way to keep track of her thoughts and hold on to her memory.
So that's one of the reasons why I write every day, is just the awareness, thinking of all the other families that have went through the same thing we are going through.
Today marks day 193 since starting Gwen's journal. Some days she shares her thoughts, other days details of the case, always ending with a call for justice while honoring Adyson's joy.
But right now, I will continue to document every day. Continue to pray for our family.
No arrests have been made in connection to Adyson's death. Earlier this year, Saskatchewan RCMP said evidence suggests her death was not criminal. Gwen says she has been disappointed with the RCMP from day one, saying they did not tape off the scene where she was found and have not properly investigated her death.
I know people that have went in and talked with the RCMP and walked out upset because they don't want to hear it. They just don't want to hear anything in regards to Adyson.
APTN reached out to the RCMP for comment, but had not received a response at the time of broadcast. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Allegations of sexual harassment against the CEO of an Inuit nonprofit organization in Winnipeg have sparked a new social media movement called #InuitMeToo. An online petition with almost 1,300 signatures is calling for the resignation of Manitoba Inuit Association CEO Nastanya Mullen, citing allegations of sexual assault, harassment, and intimidation. It says Mullen has used cease and desist letters to silence people speaking out about his alleged actions. The group says an interim CEO has been appointed, but they're not saying who it is or if Mullen is still with the organization. Tara Tutu Fotheringham is the president of Amuti, Nunavut Inuit Women's Association. She says many Inuit communities are small, so it can be difficult for women to feel safe, sharing their experiences of sexual violence and harassment. She also says the #InuitMeToo movement shows how widespread the issue is.
We've seen some people post on Facebook their own story, not related to this individual, but they're now coming out and they're actually identifying their own perpetrators. So we are definitely seeing that women are feeling much safer socially and publicly to say this as a way of just releasing the secret. And that's what we're hearing, that, you know, by keeping the secret for so long, it made them feel like they weren't heard and they weren't valued.
For 3 months, 23-year-old Desiree Ross has been missing from her home community of Kakawishtahow First Nation in southern Saskatchewan. Over the weekend, community members held another search for Ross, hoping to find any other leads in her disappearance. Desiree Ross was last seen in Kakawishtahow First Nation on Sunday, July 27th, and it was also the last time she was in contact with family. Last Saturday and Sunday, community members organized a larger and coordinated search with the use of quads, but Ross was still not found. According to leadership, Saskatchewan RCMP is continuing with their investigation, including following any new leads on where Ross may have went. Desiree Ross is 5'3", 210 pounds with brown eyes, brown medium-length hair, and she may be wearing glasses. Chief Evan Tapatat has previously said that Ross may have also been seen in the Yorkton or in company of another man from the First Nation. If anyone knows where Desiree Ross may be, you are asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Kakawishtahow is located about 166 kilometers east of Regina near the town of Broadview, just north of the number 1 highway. A group of teenagers in a northern Manitoba First Nation have all been arrested after shots were fired in the community and a male was assaulted. On Wednesday, October 22nd at around 10 p.m., Cross Lake RCMP received multiple reports of shots fired in the area of Egg Lake and Beardy's Point in Pimichikamak Cree Nation. When RCMP entered Beardy's Point, they received another report that a group of 6 males were seen assaulting another male and shots were again fired. The victim was not found, but RCMP did locate and arrest 4 suspects. They seized a semi-automatic firearm along with a magazine and additional rounds. Crack cocaine and some money were also seized from another suspect. 3 male suspects are 15 years old and another male suspect is 17 years old. They are now all facing a number of firearm and drug-related charges and were taken to the Cross Lake RCMP detachment last week. RCMP also located a pickup truck that had been shot several times. There were no reported injuries in that incident. Pimichikamak is located more than 760 kilometers north of Winnipeg. Before we head into the break, here's our Yukon reporter Sarah Connors with a preview of some stories she's working on.
I'm Sarah Connors here in Mayo, Yukon, about a 4.5 hours drive north of Whitehorse and home to the First Nation of Notchonayakdun. Coming soon on APTN National News, I'll bring you a story on how Hollow Presence is helping the nation preserve its language, culture, and teachings. And with the territorial election just around the corner, we'll hear from Chief Donna Hope about the issues she wants the next government to prioritize, especially in regards to mining. Stay tuned for those stories on APTN National News.
Thanks for staying with us. A parliamentary committee continued its study of Indigenous policing and public safety. On Monday, the Standing Committee on Indigenous and Northern Affairs heard from Eskasoni First Nations Chief Leroy Denny. From 1994 to 2001, First Nations in Nova Scotia's Cape Breton area were served by their own tribal police force, but it was disbanded due to a lack of government funding. Since then, First Nations in Nova Scotia are now served solely by the RCMP. Last year in September, the people of Elsipogtog First Nation in New Brunswick called for the removal of the RCMP following the RCMP shooting death of Stephen Iggy Deedham. Chief Denny told the committee the current model is not working, noting a high turnover rate and most Mounties are not equipped to work with Mi'kmaq communities.
I feel that we need Mi'kmaq or Indigenous officers in our communities in order to operate our communities. There's too many issues that our people are facing. When we have different officers that they're on a short time, it's affecting, they're not doing community policing. They're not culturally sensitive enough for them to do our own policing in our communities because we don't have Mi'kmaq speaking officers anymore.
The Alberta government is expected to introduce back-to-work legislation today to end the 3-week teacher strike across the province. 51,000 teachers from the public, Catholic, and Francophone schools have been on strike since October 6th, impacting nearly 750,000 students. Teachers have been asking for smaller classroom sizes and hiring of 3,000 more teachers to meet the demand in students. The Teachers Union has rejected a proposal of a 12% raise over 4 years. Teachers could be ordered back to work by the end of the week. The Alberta Federation of Labour, a union that represents more than 350,000 workers, threatened the Alberta government it will mobilize if the province uses the notwithstanding clause to force teachers back to work. Montreal's McGill University recently hosted an event called Speaking Through Craft, Cultural Storytelling in Business. As APTN's Kim Sullivan reports, when culture meets commerce, a brand can become more than a product.
Through their brands, these women have woven identity with historical and cultural narratives, creating successful businesses that celebrate Indigenous representation and values.
We reached out to Bastien Industries up in Quebec.
When Brittany Janvier did her postgraduate studies at McGill University's Dishotel Faculty of Management in Montreal, she was the only Indigenous student in her class. Organizing this event, called Speaking Through Craft, Cultural Storytelling in Business, was a full circle moment.
Being here today with these women, entrepreneurs, I think that's something huge. I think that's something we don't hear very often. I think we have to be very appreciative of that. You know, I think that giving them a voice and a space to talk their story, to talk about what they do, to share it with a group of students, faculty, staff, it's something small in the big picture, but it's a step in the right direction.
It was with pride that she welcomed the founder of Cheekbone Beauty Cosmetics, Jen Harper, and the two ladies behind the brand Minitipi, Trisha Petura and Mélanie Bernard. These two brands are proof that Indigenous-led businesses can serve as a powerful vessel for cultural narratives.
The brand Cheekbone literally started because of this dream I had of 3 Indigenous little girls covered in lip gloss.
For Jen Harper, storytelling is an integral part of the company's origins, born from a dream that guided her towards entrepreneurship and continues to inspire its journey. The products' names, along with their natural sources, are deeply rooted in the teachings of her Anishinaabe culture.
Storytelling has been a huge part of the brand, and I think if we look at many of the most successful brands around the world, they all have a great story to tell.
It's not always easy to blend culture into your brand when 95% of your clientele is non-Indigenous. However, Cheekbone Beauty Cosmetics does it in a way that each product becomes a tool for cultural teaching.
That can be difficult because, you know, all of our languages, Indigenous people, are not the easy. They're like some 17 letters, right? So it's important, but we really do the work of making sure that the words are going to come off their lips at some point. If not the product on their lips, we want the Indigenous words to come off their lips too.
Minitipi's co-founders have the same line of thought.
And the name of this design is Kwe.
Each textile pattern is rich in symbolism and carries deep knowledge.
It's really important for us to ensure that Indigenous voices are heard, and through design we storytell, sharing knowledge through the design so that our customers can feel empowered and start conversations by learning more about the Indigenous culture and the teachings that we share through our designs.
For both businesses, their brand carries meaning beyond beauty. Through their narrative, they are committed to challenging myths and amplifying Indigenous truths.
When we were launching into Sephora in 2021, it's such a big, they're the biggest beauty retailer in the world. So we knew that the platform and our audience was going to shift. And I personally, and many in my community and friends, we've had the big discussions around this like Hollywood version of what people think an Indigenous person is supposed to look like. And unfortunately, it's not true. We come in all different shades and ranges and skin tones. So it was important that we tell that story.
Not many people know about Indigenous stories.
The panel's moderator, Matthew Sabo, is studying in the same retail management program that Brittany Janvier graduated from 3 years ago. Like her, he recognizes that cultural representation is important in the business world and that every culture must find ways to be heard.
Everyone should have the opportunity to talk about their story in business, and, you know, I think right now it's our turn.
Kim Sullivan, APTN National News, Montreal.
Photo of the day and weather is up next. Plus, we'll take you to this year's Winnipeg Comic-Con. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. As Halloween quickly approaches, our very own Sarah Connors shared this photo of her Sphinx cat, Yoko, looking fabulous as always. We want to see your photos this week, so send them to share at aptn.ca for the chance to be our next photo of the day. Super easy for a reason to get yourself on TV, eh? Time now for tomorrow's weather forecast. On the east coast, Halifax sunny and 11, Charlottetown 10. Inuit 5, Nain 6 and partly cloudy. Gaspé 9, St. Jovite cloudy and 3. North Bay 12, Sarnia 15 and sunny. Partly cloudy in Sioux Lookout at 7, Thunder Bay 8. Churchill 8 and showers there, sunny in Thompson at +8. Gimli 10, Barons River 9. +5 in Saskatoon, Regina 7. Uranium City 2, Stony Rapids 4. Partly cloudy in Fort McMurray at 2, Peace River 3. Calgary 7, Edmonton 8 and sunny. Vancouver 9 in showers, Campbell River 6. Dees Lake 0, Smithers 1. Old Crow -13, Watson Lake 0 and suns out there. Wati -2, Wrigley 0. -3 in Sax Harbor, Polituck -2. 1 in Chesterfield, Whale Cove +3 in showers. And Iqaluit +1, Igloolik -2. And finally for us, Winnipeg Comic-Con took place over the weekend and brought in all ages of fans. The convention features guests like Lou Diamond Phillips from La Bamba, Sean Austin from Lord of the Rings and Stranger Things, and voice actor Linda Ballantyne as Sailor Moon. They all signed autographs and participated in some of the activities during the event. Julia Ross attended day one and caught up with some of the fans.
I made my costume and I made his.
The Winnipeg Comic-Con was held this past weekend at the RBC Convention Center downtown. The convention featured a 25-foot Stay Puft marshmallow from the Ghostbusters, cosplay meetups, gaming, autographs with celebrity guests, a 100,000 square foot shopping area featuring artists, comics, and more.
This is my first Comic-Con actually. I haven't been here too long, but I got to look at some of the booths and it's pretty nice.
The con drew in over 35,000 fans over the 3 days. It was Winnipeg's 5th edition of the convention. With the largest urban Indigenous population in Canada, many fans gathered and represented.
My favorite part of it is definitely looking around for new stuff to add to my costume. I've been looking at a lot of things, mostly, swords.
Spence and Flett both said that costumes are a big part of why they are loving Comic-Con.
Definitely seeing everyone in costumes. It seems awesome seeing people with these costumes that they either found or put together themselves. It's super cool.
Next year's Winnipeg Comic-Con will take place on Halloween weekend and will have an extra spooky twist if you missed this year. Unfortunately, due to timing issues, we couldn't speak with any celebrities. Julia Ross, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
So sad I couldn't go this year. And that's your evening newscast for this Monday. We're back again tomorrow for your daytime newscast. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Excellent.